Well, good evening. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to iHealth Radio and the iHealth channel. This is Hurricane H with a different edition, a different subject, and a different show. This particular show will be actually, the name of it or entailed, Unbelievable but True. And the purpose of the show is to just bring some unique cases or reports of unique things that may have happened to people, just general people, in regards to health and healthcare. So if you had a bad experience, you had any issues, you had some sort of an experience that is unique with a malpractice or a particular, provider network, medical center, whatever the case may be. And the reason I wanted to actually bring this particular subject and topic specifically is that I had a personal experience, and this is with my mother. A few years back, and we've discovered something that was completely unbelievable, but definitely true. And we discovered it because we just didn't pay attention to the details. I guess at the time we believed in the system. We believed in everybody's going to be ethical in their practices, and we were naive. I was naive. I took care of my mom. And so I'm sharing this particular story as a startup for this particular show series because it's dear to me. And ultimately, after we find out what it was, and we'll talk about the details in a few, I realized that there was nothing that the law can do to prevent it, once it's done. And especially if you don't know your rights or you know how to go about it and you don't know what to do when you have sometimes of surgery, you will have issues later on, or you'll discover things and you'll be like, well, it just happened. And ultimately at that point, there's nothing you can do. It's not about suing, it's not about anything else, but it's just to give the public and you as my audience and the audience of the channel, an opportunity to be aware. So this is just to give you a little bit of awareness as to some of the things that may happen, and they can happen to you, they can happen to family members, they can happen to people that you know. And if, I think it's just an opportunity for other people to realize what's going on. So again, as a channel for health, the purpose is multiple things that, are health related, health, specific. And this particular show is about, it's not you could refer to it as a malpractice, that would be the legal term, I guess. But it's more about something that, happened and it shouldn't have happened. And it is either a miracle, which, if you believe in miracles, maybe, but scientifically, it's almost impossible. And, but it is true. And when I share with you the actual details, you probably be like, wow. So that being said, and let me give you the details. So 2007, my mom had a severe fever for about, a couple of days. And eventually we wound up, going to the hospital as an emergency. And she was being observed overnight. And then she was hospitalized. And the diagnosis was that her gallbladder was about to erupt. And ultimately, she needed an actual surgery. So, of course, the ideal thing at that point, and the only thing you can do is doctors say surgery, life-saving, let's do it. And so we agreed. Mom signed all the documents. I'm the proxy. I signed all the documents. She goes into surgery. They're scheduled. She got admitted on Wednesday night. Surgery was on Friday morning. Or I think it was that Thursday, and then Friday, in the morning, they started the surgery. Anyways, so gallbladder surgery, typically it's a very routine surgery these days. They put 3 holes, they do it, simple, and it's, a couple of days, you're out. So fine, surgery was done. I go in after the surgery is completed. I check in, the doctors explained to me what happened. The whole surgery went well. She had a tube, getting all her, processes, that, post, recovery stuff taken care of. And ultimately, that was it. So she got discharged eventually about a few days later. We had to go back just to double check, that there was no problems. We had to go back also for stitches, to make sure. And of course, the surgery was not just the 3 holes. They apparently stated that at the time when they got in, they had to do a major surgery, so they had to cut open and do a full cleanup of things. And I'll actually read to you guys and share with you the document on the specific discharge papers, as well as what the report was. So I did get the report from the hospital. I am not, you will probably see what the hospital is. I'm not gonna, this is not about, talking about the hospital, but it's really sharing the actual practice that, someone may be a victim of technically, and, or, subject to. And unfortunately, if you don't know about it in time, there's nothing you can do about it. As a matter of fact, we did reach out to attorneys, once we knew what was wrong, and of course it was the statute of limitations. The statute of limitations was past due, so we could not do anything about it. Now, this surgery happened in New York, and so it was a very eye-opening, for all of us in the family specifically. It was like, wow, how did that even happen in this day and age? But it does. And, the documentation we had was so solid that you would not even doubt it. And although we did have follow-ups, my mom diabetic, so we did go out, multiple, visits after that for her routine visits, checkups. And until years later, literally years later, she had some abdominal pain. Her primary doctor, ordered some X-rays and sonograms to be taken care of, and I'll show you those documents in a minute. And then when we saw that, the actual technician looked at the cut in her belly and she said, "What is this?" So I'm there doing the translation. I'm asking, I'm telling her, well, she had the gallbladder removed. So the lady is looking at me like I have three heads, and he's like, well, I beg to differ, but the gallbladder is there. So it was not removed. So some of you are probably cracking up right now as hearing this, but it is the fact. And then I'll share with you what those documents are. So actually, after that, I literally had to request the report just to get that. And I also have the CD of her, abdominal, scans, just, if anyone wants to see it, I'll be more than happy to share that. But it just seeing somebody's, internal organs. But the fact of the matter is, we had the surgery done for a gallbladder removal. The whole thing was removed. Technically, everything was done, so she would be without any gallbladder. Ultimately, those things don't regrow, which would be the miracle part of it. So, years later, we discovered that the gallbladder is still there. Now, when I talked to the actual primary care doctor, she said, well, there's no way. Can you give me the actual physical evidence of the surgery and the details? So we got the report, submitted back to the doctor. The doctor was really in awe and shock. I'm like, what happened here? Because this really looks like weird. It shows that actually it was removed. It tells you exactly how it got removed and cut and cleaned up and everything, sutured back. Yet it shows on the sonogram that it exists. So at that point, the doctor couldn't do anything about it. She just recommended maybe you can reach out to an attorney and see what can be done to pursue the actual facility. We actually did. We asked different, attorneys that specialize in malpractice and things like that. In New York at the time, I guess the statute of limitations was 2 years, and we were way past that. So there was nothing we can do from a legal aspect. I was given recommendations to talk to the medical board at the particular facility. I didn't want to pursue it. Thank God my mom is good. Nothing happened. I guess life was saved at the time. So that's all we worried about. But as I started this platform, which is the channel, and it's health dedicated. So as I was thinking about the different subject and topics and shows that we will, have. So like I said before, as I announced the introduction to the station, we will have multiples, and each one of them will have a specific topic. So this particular one will be for you. If you know of a story, if you have been, victim of anything of a nature or something that's weird, unbelievable, really, but true, please share with us, and we'll be more than happy to actually, discuss it live. And also, if you want to be on the show, we'll bring you on board, whether via a medium, a visual medium, and get you on the call here or live, or you can also join us at the studio. Either way, we'll be able to actually get your story out there, because I think for all of us out there, all of us living our day lives, and happy lives, as we've like them to be, we should be aware that these things may happen, and it doesn't only happen to the others, it can happen to us. Now, being in the healthcare personally, I felt the most, and I'm gonna quote it, stupid, dumb, it was just crazy to realize, like, how could I not actually have seen it happen? But there was no evidence whatsoever that could have triggered for me to even wonder that it could have been the case, or even doubt that it was not that what they claimed happened at the surgery did not. Like I said, it took years, and I mean many years later. So I will actually share with you. So you'll see a little bit of a transitional here, and then you'll see some forms, and I will read them to you, and then you get to see exactly what I'm talking about. So the first thing here is the report of surgery, step by step. So I'm not trying to read it to you. It's a lot of information. She's not worried about me sharing this publicly. So, but I do want to just share with that. So. It says the patient is placed supine on the operating room table. So that's just how the procedure went, and then they did an incision 2 centimeters below the costal margin. So this is all the technical stuff. Because there was so much inflammatory, I can't read this, it's a little tight. Hold on, let me just increase this screen. Okay, much better. So we incised through the skin and subcutaneous tissues. We split the muscles, fascia. So this is all the medical terminology they use in medicine and surgery. We bluntly were able to sweep down the transverse colon, and so it goes clear. Further, the gallbladder was tense, and about 80% of the gallbladder was intrahepatic. So if you're in medical terms, you probably understand what that is. The external surface of the gallbladder was clearly edematous and partially gangrenous. And we dissected in the area of callus triangle to the neck, was rather bulbous and had many stones within the lumen. So anyways, the details that there was, stones in there, it was inflammatory, it was just about to burst, so they did all that. We insist, 1 centimeter from the edge of the liver, so they cut, we opened the gallbladder and then decompressed it. We suctioned out probably 50 to 75 cc's of thin purulent, so it's all nasty stuff. Once the outer surface of gallbladder was amputated, we closed the neck. We'd interrupt the sutures we irrigated the subaortic space, again with sterile saline, which we aspired, and so on and so forth. Anyway, so because of this time, we're told we did not have a correct instrument count. We started the abdominal closure, so they actually had to do an x-ray to see if there's nothing left inside the body. So now, again, I am not a medical, professional, so I'm not a doctor, so a lot of terminology here is a little beyond me. So when we showed this to our primary doctor and she read it, she was kind of like, wow, gallbladder removed, but gallbladder was not removed. So this documentation is kind of confusing to me because it says like it was there, it was not there, they cut it, they resewed. It's crazy. So like I said, we went around, there's nothing we can do about it, obviously, but just in case, anyone in your family, gets to a situation like this and they have to go through a surgery type, let's make sure that you get your primary to read through the stuff, make sure you get your records right away, make sure you actually verify that that's not, because the impression we had all along is that there was no more gallbladder, that she would live her life without one, and she had to be careful. So even on the discharge paper, there were a lot of documentation and instructions. No lipids, no, avoiding, fried food and all that stuff. And so we follow those rules. And like I said, the only time we realize what it is, and then we'll be in the next transition, is that, surgery for gallbladder, and it's all there. So it does say here the gallbladder is fluid filled. So unless, it got, kind of survived, the surgery after the whole incisions and the whole, cuts, it's actually there. And that's what the document shows. So it is an interesting case. We're still baffled about it. And we actually, settle with the idea there's nothing we can do about it, but I just thought that maybe if you hear about it, if you in went through a surgery, know someone that's gone through a surgery, at least, be careful. If you anticipate a surgery, or you know someone that's going to get through a surgery, get the details, but make sure you follow through. Make sure that you actually know exactly what happened, and do follow-up x-rays, do follow-up sonograms to make sure that what that's being stated is correct. And again, the explanation we got first and the documentation, even the doctor was kind of questioning, like, didn't make sense, and she said that those things don't regrow, they don't grow back, and so either they did not remove it, or so again, what it was, it's just surprising. And so I felt that it would be something to share in this particular platform. And again, just as an educational piece and alignment to everybody, so no one else has to actually get through this particular experience and avoid it from scratch. So again, if you're going to get a surgery done, make sure you get the details in the surgery, make sure you get the documentation for the surgery, get your records right away, and do a follow-up that is thorough, not just to check on the outside, but also do an actual review of the sonogram, x-rays, whatever you need to do, MRIs, whatever surgery it is. Again, that's just my advice, not to feel exactly the same that. So this way, when it's all over and, in a timely fashion, something is wrong, you can actually pursue it. And then the statute of limitation does not apply, or it becomes on your favor, and you can actually take matters in the, the justice, and hopefully you get, your proper compensation or proper, justice as well. So that's all I have about this. But, I thought it would be a topic that is interesting. It will be something that everybody would be probably getting a kick of and probably in shock. But like I said, again, the report that I showed, I'm not the expert on it, but based on what we heard to us, it literally stated that actually she did say that savvy, so we're not going to know exactly what the details that happen there. You can read through, but I mean, you can understand some of it, but it's all medical jumbo and language, so it's very difficult to actually understand it unless you get a medical person to actually analyze it and dissect it and give you an actual clear cut to it. So that's really what this unbelievable true story is. And to date, we joke about it at home. My mom is the lady that actually grew her gallbladder back. So it's the miracle mom. And, while we joke about it, we live with it day in, day out. We still see the actual scar, the actual surgery. It's a pretty big cut. I didn't want to actually, it's graphics. I didn't want to show that picture of it. But, like I said, if you do have a similar case or something that is of that nature that you feel is important to share with the public, and there is no platform to share with, let's do it. I mean, send it to me and we can talk about it. And if you have documentation, we can present it and we can share it with the public. And at least people are educated and aware. Like I said, it's all about awareness and about being, savvy about, what could happen and how things could be. Now, again, not blaming the hospital, not blaming anybody, because technically they saved her life at the time and we're grateful for it. We don't know exactly what the circumstances were, but nobody clearly stated exactly. So when we stepped out of that hospital, the message was very clear. We removed the actual gallbladder. We actually intubated. We had actually literally for a week, she had the drainage, tube coming out of her belly. We had to go back, for a week later to secure that and really close it. And then, of course, we had to go back for her cuts. And right now she lives with a very nice little, transitional cut, diagonal cut in her, belly. But she's not like, going with the two-piece suit in the bath, and on the beach, and she's an older lady. But at the end of the day, if this was a younger person, that could also be a challenging situation from a cosmetic, status. You're going, it's just a personal thing. I mean, it's not looking as the best. It's a big cut. So it's like any other major surgery. And she was under the actual anesthesia for, multiple hours. So it was about 4 or 5 hours. I think it was 5 hour surgery. So again, with that, I would close, this particular live feed. And I hope that this was at least educational to you at a certain point, or at least sharing with you something that you might not have thought about, or maybe you not have heard of, but it is true. And like I said, it's unbelievable, definitely true. That's all there is. So thank you for watching this particular episode and show, and thank you for listening on the radio. And that being said, again, Hurricane H here, iHealth Radio and the iHealth channel, and we will take a break and come back and follow up with our next show. Thank you. Bye-bye.